take projection.
It's Friday morning, and you know what that means. It's time for another episode of the Alabama Slam Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Hanna.
What's going on, guys? It's Patrick Akers.
And we've got a lot to get into this week. We're going to get to a breakdown of what we think could happen at AEW Revolution this weekend. But first, we want to touch on some SmackDown stuff from Friday, some more Bloodline stuff, and then we'll get a little bit into Monday Night Raw action before we pivot over to AEW. I'm sure we've got a lot to talk about with that. So let's let you jump in on the SmackDown action first, Patrick.
Yeah, the big thing from this is just the Jimmy Uso promo that ended the show Friday night. Obviously, the continuation of this fantastic Bloodline story. Just masterful stuff from Jimmy Uso, who's kind of been, I don't want to say he's been left out, but he certainly hasn't got the shine during the story the way that Sammy and Roman and Jay has. But man, Jimmy is A++ Friday night. It makes you look forward even more to this tag team match. Obviously, we are both disappointed that it's not going to be Sammy versus Roman at WrestleMania, but this is like has to be the second biggest story going into WrestleMania weekend, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, there's been talks that like Rhea Ripley and Charlotte are probably going to main event one of the nights because they won a women's match. I don't know if there's another storyline that has any juice to it in the way that this Sammy, KO, and the Usos story is going to have going into WrestleMania weekend. It probably should main event one of the nights. Sounds like it's probably not. But, you know, Jimmy or Sammy telling Jimmy that, you know, you were the one that made me the honorary Us.
Yeah.
And then Jimmy going back and telling him, you know, I had to make that choice. I did what I had to do because that's what family does. And he's just getting, you know, you can tell he's getting pissed off. It's been fantastic stuff now for damn 9 months. It continues to be. This is going to be one of those things where in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, there's going to be when you go to the WWE Network, there's going to be like a Bloodline saga section, and you're just going to be able to click on it and just get immersed into what's been one of wrestling's best stories, really of all time. I mean, certainly of modern wrestling history. I can't really think of anything that has, I guess Punk and Cena was cool, but Punk and Cena was, you know, so short because Punk left the company and came right back the next pay-per-view. Like there wasn't even that much drama about like, oh shit, Punk is going to like, you know, take the WWE belt. Like it just didn't have, he just came back.
Yeah.
So this is it.
Just in the few years that I've jumped back in and have been watching wrestling, this has been the biggest storyline for me. You know, I've talked in the last few weeks about how good I thought Punk and MJF was, but this is an all-timer for sure. And I think you're right. I think this is one of those we'll see will be highlighted on the WWE on Peacock in the not too distant future.
Unless it's on like a Saudi Arabian streaming network service here within the next couple of months. You can't roll that out either.
I mean, who knows, man?
Who knows? But yeah, that was the big thing. Other stuff on SmackDown. Like, did you catch any of the Firefly Funhouse stuff?
I did. Yeah.
What do you think about it before I say what I want to say about it?
I mean, I'm probably thinking the same shit you think. Like, I don't know. This tease of whatever they're trying to do is taking entirely too fucking long.
I'm done. I know I said this last time when we talked about Bray Wyatt. Listen, I have always loved Bray Wyatt. He will forever be the cult leader with the Cape Fear looking get up with the Tommy Bahama shirts. That's my Bray Wyatt. You know, everybody's got their version of something. Like, that is my version of Bray Wyatt. This version here, like, yeah, it's just long, but it's also boring.
I honestly thought, like, okay, he's got the chance to come back and do something different. I thought he would just completely go in a different direction.
Yeah, and then they just started doing the same shit again.
Yeah.
Like, this is the same shit that had all the fans the first time with the Funhouse was cool when it first started, but it got old. And then the Fiend stuff got old, and then it sounds like the Fiend shit's going to be back. So I'm just like, I mean, we're just I guess we're just going to do it for round 2, but it's going to be worse than we did it before.
Yeah.
Except now we have, and I also thought we were going to be gearing up for Bray Wyatt versus Uncle Howdy at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
But
that don't look like that's happening.
Nah, it sounds like they're both going to beat up against Bobby Lashley, which, again, if dirt sheets are to be believed, it was originally pitched Brock Lesnar and Bray Wyatt, and I'm going to assume that Brock was just like, yeah, I ain't doing none of that spooky shit, so find me somebody else. And so now we get Brock and Omos, which
absolutely nobody cares about.
Hey, Omos, though, go look at those YouTube numbers. That dude gets clicks.
Really?
Yeah, millions of views every time he's on. They clip one of his stuff and put it on there. He's a draw. I don't know for who, but somebody out there really enjoys him. And then look, as much as I love Dominic Mysterio, we can't be having Dominic Mysterio coming out and doing a promo on behalf of Rhea Ripley against Charlotte when we're 5 weeks away from a Rhea versus Charlotte WrestleMania match. Like, I know that they think they have time, and maybe they do have time, but it feels like they don't. And maybe we should, kick this thing into high gear, especially if it's going to main event night 1. Is there anything about this feud that makes you, want to see it go on last Saturday night?
I mean, I'm excited about it. I'm not going to lie. I think
it'll be a good match, sure.
Yeah, I think Ripley will get the belt. But yeah, you're right. Like, there's not a lot of intrigue leading up to it.
Like, WrestleMania matches should have a lot. Like, this should be the culmination of very hot angles that were told over a period of time, right? I mean, you go think about, The Rock and Stone Cold. They main evented those 3 WrestleManias. Those guys, their rivalry spanned the course of years, right? You look at all these past WrestleMania main events, and now that they've went to two nights, I guess it kind of dilutes it a little bit. But and I get that Rhea Ripley and Charlotte had this history from NXT, but now it's just like Rhea won the Royal Rumble and she's yet to be on screen and have a promo against Charlotte, much like in the way that Cody Rhodes has not been featured on screen yet with Roman Reigns.
Which, yeah, I think they're going to get to that tomorrow night, aka tonight, if you listen to this on Friday.
Yeah, but that's a little bit different though, because Roman has all this cachet coming into it, and Cody, obviously his part of his story has nothing really to do with Roman. It's just the fact that Roman happens to be the guy that has a championship right now.
Yeah,
Cody's thing has always been about fulfilling a legacy and achieving something that his father never could. And so
AKA finish the story.
Finish the story. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with Roman. It's just Roman just happens to be the guy. So yeah, that's other than that, they're alluding to a Drew McIntyre versus Gunther. I'm down with that at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at it.
Yeah, that'll be. When he was watching him, I was like, oh shit. Because Gunther and Brock was tossed out there, but it looks like that's not going to happen. So Gunther needs somebody. And you want to talk about elevating that title, the Intercontinental title, I don't even think was defended last year at WrestleMania.
I don't think it was, because wasn't that didn't Gunther win it off of Ricochet after Mania?
I think so, yeah.
And that was the whole thing, is they were like, why wasn't Ricochet at WrestleMania?
The United States title, too, same thing. And now you look at how those titles are positioned. Fucking Intercontinental title with Gunther is like, as prestigious as it's ever been, and damn Austin Theory might go up against John Cena. So, what a difference a year makes. And also, of course, we got Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio, which that might be the match I'm looking forward to the most, honestly, at WrestleMania. I just want to see Dom get the shit slapped out of him.
Yeah.
He is the best heel in WWE right now. It's not even close. He's the only guy that people legitimately hate. Even with Roman, who's a heel, people are like, fucking Roman Reigns is kind of cool and badass, right? Dominic Mysterio, everybody is like, I can't fucking stand this guy. Yeah. I wish somebody would hit him in the face. Even Michael Cole.
Yeah, whoever came up with the idea to turn him heel and have the storyline between he and Ray should get a fucking raise.
It's fantastic stuff. It just goes to show you all it takes is these little tweaks to these characters. and to just be given an opportunity, right? Like how many guys on that roster could be something like a Dominic Mysterio if they were just given opportunities to flourish like that?
Yeah, because it's what 6 months ago. We were absolutely shitting on Dom.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a good. Whoever's doing that is like I said, should get a raise. And clearly the Bloodline stuff is working. Um, I mean, yeah, I'm with you though on the Charlotte and Rhea stuff. Like that needs to be built a little more. Uh, Drew and Gunther could be cool. Pivoting just a little into Monday night, Becky and Lita ended up taking the titles off of Damage Control, which was I thought it was a little odd. I mean, what's your opinion on that? I mean, I say odd, but I'm Team Becky all the way. I love Becky.
Yeah.
But it just seems like a weird. I don't know. Like maybe it's just going to be for a couple weeks and then they'll be done with it and then it'll be another story. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, because obviously, Trish Stratus also came out Monday
Yeah,
night. So it seems, unless they pull a swerve, which I don't know, I think I'm more interested in a Becky Lynch and Lita versus Bayley and Trish Stratus than I am, Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish Stratus versus all of Damage Control.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, the tag team, I think you just want the pop. You just kind of want the pop of Lita, who's this old school star, and Becky Lynch, who's this mega star. Teaming up and beating Dakota Kai and Io Sky, who are talented. They're really
hmm
talented, but they haven't done that much with those titles, right? I
right,
mean, we talked about this that they were presented as this heel tag team. Well, actually, I'm sorry, heel faction with Bayley. But then Bianca Belair just beat all of them single handedly, and so it kind of just killed the momentum, right? Like you can't have a heel tag team that just single handedly gets beat up by one babyface. It ruins any kind of momentum you had. So I mean, they've kind of been just floundering a little bit with those tag team championships. So maybe this is some kind of reset. Yeah, I mean, maybe EO and Dakota take it back off of them before WrestleMania. We still got some time.
yeah, yeah. That'd be interesting. You got anything else for Monday you wanna hit on?
No, other than like, man, Monday Night Raw is still just a slog. I don't know if other listeners feel this way, but like
3 hours is a lot to
the
ask of
3 hours, yeah, is just SmackDown seems like it flies by,
yeah.
and Raw is just like I kind of find myself fast forwarding through just like most of it.
I think the difference for me is that on Friday nights I start drinking around 6, so
There
I'm
you go.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm, I'm pretty ready for some entertainment about 7.
So maybe the Friday night show should be 3 hours.
I mean, maybe because Monday nights, I honestly forgot about it last week until I hopped on Twitter for just a second, and because I was still like at home working, and I hopped on Twitter, and they were like, Sami Zayn's on screen, KO's out there. I was like, oh shit, it's Monday, Raw's on. I just fucking forgot.
Yeah.
Which I only really started peeking in it on Raw again just a few weeks ago, basically to keep up with Bloodline shit.
Yeah.
Um, and but yeah, like it's by the end of that third hour, I'm just like fuck it, I'm ready to go to bed. Like I think it was even last week when I turned it on late at 9 o'clock. I was like, I'm going to bed. I'm fucking tired. I
Yeah.
can't do anymore.
Which is crazy because Raw used to be the flagship program, and even when SmackDown was beating Raw in the ratings, I mean Raw was always presented as the A show,
Yeah,
and then now it seems like and probably shouldn't be that much of a surprise, right? Considering Fox paid a pretty penny to have SmackDown on
yeah.
their network. That's what happens. Hey, we're going to pay a lot of money. We want to be the best show. So there you go.
I'm getting a little tired of Heyman interrupting Cody every time he's trying to do a promo too.
Well, I think they're protecting Cody from here's the last thing they want to have happen is Cody be out there and people start cheering for Sami Zayn. So
Yeah.
I think the deeper we get into the Sammy, Jimmy, Jay, KO saga, like they're kind of just buying their time before they put Roman and Cody on screen together, or to
Yeah.
have Cody really say anything. So you trot Paul Heyman out there, and he can kind of do his thing as one of the best talkers that the business has ever seen. He can kind of chew the fat a little bit and kind of get people forgetting about that till we get closer to WrestleMania. But
Yeah.
hey, like we talked about last week, this is a hell of a gamble for WWE to choose Cody over Sammy. And
Yeah.
if it is a lot of pressure, if Cody and Roman's first face to face interaction falls flat, you're gonna have some people. The chirps are gonna get louder and louder and louder.
Yeah.
And that's not what you want to have happen if you're WWE 6 weeks before the biggest show of the year.
Yeah. Everybody got a Twitter.
And it'll happen. Trust me, it will happen.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have anything else there, I say let's go ahead and get into the Revolution rundown because there's a lot to cover there. We'll start with the.
Are you excited about this show first?
I mean, I am. There's certain ones I'm more excited about than others. I think it's a good card.
It's a good card, but I feel like since we've been doing this podcast, this is kind of by far the least we've been excited for anything. It feels like the least monumental pay-per-view.
Yeah. I was about to say that it doesn't feel like any of the stories have been building for that long, but now that I'm glancing at it again, like most of these have been building for a hot minute.
Yeah, it's just not been well. It's not been well built.
Yeah, and so if you didn't listen last week, go back and listen to some things that we thought maybe could help fix the current AEW situation, booking and storyline wise. I mean, I'm not shitting on it because there's a lot of good stuff I think that's going to happen Sunday night. First off, the tag team championships, the Guns versus the Acclaim versus Jay Lethal and Double J versus Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. The Orange Cassidy and Danhausen thing, I mean, you could see it coming from a mile away last night when they decided that they were going to enter the tournament when Best Friends were ruled out by injury. And that's fine. That's just a fourth team to have in there that isn't going to win, right? Because
no, I mean that's just are Chuck and Trent or either one of them are they shoot injured? Is it for real?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, it could be for real. But I haven't been on Twitter that much this week, so I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't see it either. Look, I get the desire to put Danhausen on the pay-per-view because he is a very popular star. Regardless of how he's positioned on television, he's a huge merch seller. People love him. So I get that, but like, man, Chuck and Trent, and maybe this is part of a bigger story they're telling here with the Best Friends. I told you from the get-go, I thought Trent and Chuck should be heels against Orange Cassidy. I think they're going to be a better heel team than they are a babyface tag team. So maybe this is part of the bigger story where Chuck and Trent feel slighted once again. They feel left out of the spotlight. Here's fucking Orange Cassidy and this goof that looks like a damn vampire are taking our spot. That could lead to a pretty emotional story down the road. So maybe that's what we're building to because, I would imagine you don't take the titles off the Guns here at this pay-per-view.
I don't think so this quickly either. I mean, personally, I'd obviously love to see him back on the Acclaim, but I don't know that it does him any good to get it back this quickly.
And so maybe that's the reasoning behind putting Orange Cassidy and Danhausen in this match is because then you can use it as a story beat for a bigger story you want to tell with the dissolution of the Best Friends. So like I get that. The I don't know what you thought about the casino tag team battle royale with cheese, whatever the hell they were calling this damn thing on Dynamite. This tag team thing was a clusterfuck Wednesday night.
Yeah, I'll be real honest. I fast forwarded through it and through the singles one as well because the storms were coming in and my dog was absolutely losing her mind. So I couldn't rest. I couldn't be comfortable. I was just trying to keep up with her. So I fast forwarded through a lot of those matches just basically to see who would win, and through a couple of the other singles matches as well. But I saw a couple highlights, and I mean, it looked like there were some good spots, but those things always kind of annoy me anyway, because I know it's just so fucking hard to coordinate something like that.
Yeah, but this one was even like it was worse than usual because like there was just weird pacing. There was like a 4 minute gap where like no tag team came in and nothing happened. And then like Top Flight and the Kingdom both came in within like a minute of each other. And then there was another gap until Best Friends and Cassidy came out. So I don't know. And it was weird. I feel like it also got cut short because this was right up before the promo with Danielson and MJF. And like Danielson came out to do his promo and there was like
5 minutes left.
Yeah, it was like something weird like that. Yeah.
When they said he was coming out, I was like, God damn.
Yeah, like fucking the show's almost over.
Yeah.
So yeah, this thing. So yeah, getting back to the tag team match though, like I guess you just put those guys in there because you're doing something down the line. You want Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal in there because you want another heel tag team. They have their thing going on with the Acclaimed. The Guns seem like, even though they have the tag team titles, they're like the least consequential tag team in this match.
Yeah.
We've seen like the least amount of the Acclaimed we know are over as shit. Jeff Jarrett and Lethal are on television every single week. Obviously, Orange Cassidy is a tremendous star for AEW. We talked about how popular Danhausen is. And then you got the Guns, who are just the tag team champs and kind of doing nothing. Now, I would think that's because I would imagine you're probably going to see FTR back sometime in April. I don't think FTR is going to WWE. That's just me personally. I don't think it's going to happen. I think all this stuff is just a work. And they're going to come back and feud with the Guns for those tag team titles. So I would imagine my pick here is, Austin and Colton. I think they retain in this match because I think old Dax and Cash are going to make their way back to AEW here in a couple months.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt my feelings. I'd really love to see them back. I don't think they'll go back to WWE either, but stranger shit has happened.
Yeah, who knows? We're going to say that, and they're going to fucking debut at WrestleMania. Hey, if that's what they want to do, like, that's cool. I just don't know. Is WWE going to give them the type of runway to build the type of legacy they want to continue to build? Can they do that there in the way that they can do it in AEW? I don't know.
We never circled back to this, but was Dax even in like the running for Wrestler of the Year? Because between some of the shit they did in their tag team matches and some of the singles matches he had, at one point we were throwing that out there. We're like, this motherfucker could end up as Wrestler of the Year.
Yeah, there was a lot of online speculation, online support for him. I don't know if he was ever really, and I mean, honestly, who gives a shit about those awards anyway?
Right.
I mean, Dax had one hell of a 2022. I mean, that's undeniable, whether he got an award for it or not. I will say the reason I think FTR is going back to AEW is because there's no way AEW would not have congratulated them about their feud of the year with the Briscoes. Like AEW literally were tagged the Briscoes and were like, congratulations on their win for feud of the year, but didn't tag FTR. So like, it's not that we have to be in work country for that to happen. Like there's got to be a bigger story that's being told here.
True. Well, let's get to Jericho versus Ricky Starks. Clearly, if you listen to our show, you know who we want to win. But who do you think they'll finally give it to Starks after all that he's gone through in the last couple months?
I mean, they have to, right? This is the Jericho special. That's what we're going to call these feuds. They get booked backwards. We're just going to call it the Jericho special because everything that Jericho's involved in, it goes backwards. There's like a huge blow-off match right at the beginning. The damn blood and guts. That shit, like all kinds of shit like that happens at the beginning of the feud, and then we just trickle it along, and then like we get back to the beginning. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how you don't have Ricky Starks get the win here over Jericho.
Yeah. I mean, he is over as fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be real selfish on Jericho's part if he was like, "No, I'm not winning," or "I'm not putting this guy over."
I mean, there would have to be some backstage animosity, I think, at this point for that to happen.
Yeah.
It makes no sense in the story. And again, as hot as Ricky Starks was, and he's still, like you said, he's still over with the crowd. I mean, this should have been a 1 month thing, and we should have been done with it. Ricky should be having another match on this pay-per-view with somebody else.
I saw some speculation earlier when I was looking up the card about predictions on some things that could happen and who will turn face and who turns heel and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so one of the things I ran up on was that there's a prediction that Garcia turns face. Supposedly the Appreciation Society is banned from ringside as one of the stipulations. But so in what way would they, I mean, would it be like a post-match deal or, I mean, what do you think? Or you think like Jericho's got the fucking bat and just railing on Starks and then out comes Garcia. But like, what's the motivation there? Is there a motivation for Garcia to do that?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably, because they did make the stipulation, they changed it, right? The first graphic said everyone banned from ringside, and then the second one said JAS specifically. So that makes you think there is something. They're going to book some kind of shenanigans happening here. Excuse me. If Garcia changes again, he might as well just change his name to the Big Show. And just keep like this, like, or Kane, or like one of those guys that fucking turned heel and face like every 3 weeks. Just, you already put him in this group. Keep him in this group. It's like, you had your shot with him. You missed it. Or you actually didn't miss it. You changed your mind.
Yeah, you fucked up.
Yeah.
Didn't land the ending.
So, yeah, I would. This will be some kind of schmoz finish. So maybe Jericho does get the win because maybe somebody debuts and fucks over Ricky Starks.
Ugh. Hope not. Next up, Samoa Joe versus Wardlow. What do you see happening here?
I mean, judging off the reaction that happened Wednesday, and we'll see this match, I think, eventually. We're gonna have to because fucking Powerhouse Hobbs won the ring.
Yeah,
I'm much more interested in Samoa Joe versus Powerhouse than I am Samoa Joe versus Wardlow at this point. Wardlow, I think, needs some kind of, and he already went away and came back, but they missed on him. They've whiffed, and I don't know necessarily whose fault it is. I don't know if it's Wardlow's. I don't know if it's Tony and the booking. We talk about it every time we talk about Wardlow, where he was at 6-7 months ago versus where he's at now.
Yeah,
you would have to, if you were going to talk about it objectively, you say, oh, we failed this guy. We've dropped the ball because he was as hot as anything that they had going. And now, he comes back and it's just kind of whatever. I'm really not interested in this match. I think Samoa Joe probably gets the win. This will probably still be a good match. I would expect it to be a hoss fight. But even that being said, they really haven't done anything with Powerhouse, right? I mean, he's had those little vignettes, but he's also been gone.
Yeah, I think they've been trying to get those vignettes in to try to build him up and just obviously he won the face of the Revolution, so they're going to try to give him a little push. You think it'll be in the TNT Championship role, or I mean, what do you think they'll do? Like, if he's the face of the Revolution or whatever, they'll probably try to put it on him at some point over Samoa Joe.
Yeah, but I mean, Hobbs is currently positioned as a heel, so you would have to change him.
Yeah,
which is fine. I think he can do it. He did have a hell of a showing Wednesday night. I've never seen, and I've always wondered. It's one of those things where like when you do a ladder match and somebody's up on top of the ladder, like the other guy always comes in and just gently tips the ladder over, to knock the guy off. Fucking Powerhouse just shoulder blocked that bitch Wednesday night and knocked Takeshita off the damn thing. I was like, all right, well, that was badass. And like, kudos to Takeshita for protecting himself there. But yeah, they made Powerhouse look like a monster. He just damn ran through a ladder. I did like that you said that, the match Wednesday night, the singles match, kind of a clusterfuck too. I enjoyed this one way more than I did the tag team match. I thought everybody got their shine. The damn Blue Thunder Bomb for Takeshita off the ladder looked brutal. Powerhouse, shoulder blocking the ladder out from underneath Takeshita. Commander, who I've been being a fan of recently since I've seen him in GCW, just walking the ropes and jumping.
That shit was insane. I did see that on TikTok today.
Yeah, and if you'll go back and look at our Twitter page, Alabama Slam, I posted about Commander like I think 2 or 3 weeks ago because he was in one of those Fight TV, either GCW or Jersey J Cup, something like that, where he did the same kind of spot where he got on the opposite turnbuckle, walked the ropes, and then did the senton off of it. Yeah, just amazing. Takeshita is still over his shit too.
Yeah.
And him and Powerhouse, they had a little moment there where I was like, damn, Takeshita, like Powerhouse is thicker, but Takeshita he's a big motherfucker. Like,
yeah, man. He ain't to be fucked with, that's for sure.
I think Takeshita has star power written all over him, and I think they're just waiting, which is probably the right call because where are you going to put him at this point? I don't know if I'm interested in Takeshita with Don Callis by his side.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know if Takeshita needs anybody, and maybe that's just leading to, House of Black taking the trios titles off the Elite, so then Kenny Omega needs somebody to feud with, and so you can do Omega versus Takeshita.
Oh man, I'd pay money for that shit.
Yeah, I ain't mad at that. Kenny as a heel with Don Callis by his side. So
let's talk about the singles thing a little bit more. Since I fast forwarded through most of it. The big thing after the show was, them talking to Kingston backstage, and he's like, "Oh, I quit AEW." And there was a thing that came out this week where he's like, "Yeah, me and the higher ups need to have a conversation." So. The speculation there, as far best as I could tell last night, was okay. Sure, maybe he's quitting AEW, but maybe he's just going to reposition into Ring of Honor for Thursday nights. What do you? Have you heard anything else on that? Or
no, I know he quit AEW. Yeah, quote unquote quit AEW. If they are planning to transition Kingston to Ring of Honor, that is a fucking massive mistake.
Yeah, because he's going to get some viewers on TV for sure.
Yeah, he is not, and maybe they have different plans for Ring of Honor. I don't know. I would use Ring of Honor in the same way that WWE uses NXT, which is it's majority of your young guys, sparsely populated by some of your veterans like a Claudio, who can come in and teach the guys something or have the titles for a little bit. WWE just did this with the New Day winning the NXT Tag Team Championship. So that's how I would use it. I would not use it in a way to have Eddie Kingston be on that program. I think that what they're doing here with Kingston is, since there is so much criticism out there of AEW, it's probably a smart play to try to use one of your biggest baby faces as a conduit for those fans, in sort of an anti-authority role. But the only problem if they want to run down that thing is that that was MJF's chick fucking 4 months ago.
Yeah,
you're just doing the same thing now with Kingston as a babyface. So I don't know. It's weird because we've both talked about how much potential Eddie Kingston has. He's this just generation's Dusty Rhodes, Mick Foley, Terry Funk. He's all those guys rolled up into one. I don't know. Again, like we talked about last week, this is where splitting the rosters would really be handy because then, there's only so much TV time for these guys.
Yeah.
And AEW has a ton of stars. We have not even talked about, fucking Adam Cole's coming back in a couple weeks. We know how massive that guy can be. It's like an all-star team, right? Really, but there's one there's one basketball, and there's a reason why, if you want to bring this around to the NBA, hey, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving were all on a basketball team. People are like, oh, they're going to fucking dominate the NBA. Actually, they were all dog shit because you can't play basketball that way. People have to know their roles, and you have to have superstars, and you have to have role players, and you can't just put all these dudes. There's only so much real estate to go around, and some guys need reps, and you need those opportunities. And Kingston has been mysteriously left off television, and I guess now they're going to try to do something with it. But I don't have a lot of faith that they're going to pull this off, judging by how they went about things Wednesday night.
Yeah. Well, let's get on to the next one: Christian Cage versus Jungle Boy. You know, Luchasaurus has been out probably, I guess, since the match that he had with Jungle Boy, right? I don't think he's been back since.
Yeah, he hadn't been back.
You think he comes back in some way tomorrow night?
Probably.
I figure they'll put Jungle Boy over and let this one be done with if Cage is healthy enough to really give it a go. Because he wasn't at their last one, which is why it was so short, right? And he got the win over Jungle Boy. You know, a little fire from Jungle Boy in the vignette, if you want to call it that, last night. I think they'll put him over for sure.
Yeah, because they're hyping up. Jungle Boy's been talking about him wanting to win singles gold this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Christian Cage doesn't need to go over, even though he is. I mean, you want to talk about fantastic heel work. This dude is, my God, he's so good. Like, Christian is the type of guy you put in Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
That's the type of dude you send over there to help these young guys like that, because he can teach them, how to wrestle for television. He can teach them how to deliver promos. He is absolutely despised by the crowd, like in a way that we talked about. There's no really. Even MJF doesn't get that kind of reaction, right? Even MJF Wednesday night got some cheers, which we've talked about. Like, the crowds has just for a long time been wanting to cheer MJF, but the AEW brass has just not want to make that happen. But yeah, Christian is not that. The people fucking hate that guy's guts.
Yeah. Well, speaking of MJF, I want to get on to the next few matches so we can spend a little bit more time on MJF and Bryan Danielson than AEW spent on it last night on the Go Home show. Jamie Hayter versus Saraya versus Ruby Soho for the Women's Championship. You think it lands back on Hayter this time?
No, I think that Saraya probably takes this home. If they're going to continue doing this AEW homegrown talent versus the outsiders, I would, I think a Ruby Soho heel turn is coming Sunday night.
You think so?
Yeah. I don't know why you put her in the match otherwise. Because Ruby's probably the Mercedes Moné spot that they couldn't get.
Yeah.
So you need, like we talked about, you need the next person up would be Ruby, who has WWE ties, and so you do that and you run it that way. And so then you can have, because we haven't even heard from Sheeta at all. She's been MIA.
Yeah, I think she was like for real injured.
Yeah.
Was the last I think I read on that.
So maybe she comes back. If not, I mean, you also have Willow Nightingale there that you could do stuff with, who has the connection with Ruby. There's just a couple of different things you can do there. But yeah, I would a Ruby Soho heel turn that allows Saraya to get the win and get the championship.
Yeah. So do you think House of Black wins over the Elite? Let's get these things off the Elite. Let them do something else.
Yeah, you got to have something else. Kenny Omega needs to be doing something else. And you can have House of Black can have the Trios title. And I still don't know what you do with the Trios title. Like, who the fuck do they feud with next? People love House of Black, though, by the way.
Yeah.
Good God.
I think I tweeted Friday night that they ain't nothing to fuck with. Like, the reaction was fucking insane. And it's just, I mean, it's so cool. Like, they pull it off well when they come out. So, yeah, I feel like they'll get the titles, the Trios titles that night.
Yeah, and I mean, House of Black, I mean, they're basically a babyface group at this point. I know they don't operate that way, but, like, every time the lights go out, people go apeshit.
Yeah.
So you let them have the titles, let them carry it around. You can cobble people together for them to feud with. And I mean, I say they're a babyface group. Obviously, they're not going to be they're not going to be going up against, other heel groups. I don't think necessarily. I think they'll be feuding with groups like Top Flight and AR Fox. Those will be the guys, but they'll
Yep.
probably just put on banger after banger match, and that'll be how the crowd gets behind them until, gosh, I don't even know what would be. I don't know who would take the titles off House of Black at this point.
Yeah, you kind of need to build like a really solid trios team up.
Yeah, but they don't. I mean, we haven't even seen Death Triangle as a unit since they lost the titles. Pac is Pac hurt?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because the Lucha Brothers they were in the tag team Casino Royale, but Pac has been nowhere to be found. Again, we talk about it all the time. AEW's biggest problem, they do not know how to keep momentum going. They get behind something for a few weeks, and then the steam runs out, and then they just kind of forget about it. Like, we can't keep these things going week in and week out.
Punk and FTR keep dropping hints that they want to work together.
Well, if that's going to happen, then you keep it on the Elite.
Yeah. Well, I mean, true.
Yeah, you don't have House of Black win. If the ace in the hole is that CM Punk and FTR are going to come back in April, then the trios title stays on the Elite. And you have somebody come out and fuck over House of Black. I don't know who it is, or maybe somebody, because you want to
telltale sign.
Yeah, you want to protect that group too. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Sunday night, if Kenny and the Young Bucks get the win, then that will make me even more hopeful that CM Punk is going to come back through those doors here in the next couple of weeks, which would be massive. We've talked about on the podcast. If you want to try to steal some thunder from WWE for Mania, particularly now that Sami Zayn's not in the main event and it's Cody Rhodes, what happens if Cody and Roman have their first face-to-face and the whole fucking internet just hates it?
Yeah,
Sami
Zayn chants break out.
There's just Sami Zayn chants. The whole WrestleMania starts to kind of crumble. You don't think fucking if CM Punk and FTR come back and they have a face-to-face with the Elite, that's not going to be the most talked about thing that weekend? If that happens on the Wednesday before WrestleMania, what do you think people are going to be talking about next week? You think they're going to be talking about Cody Rhodes beating Roman Reigns that everybody knew was coming for months? Or are they going to be talking about, damn, fucking, this CM Punk and FTR's like, CM Punk fucking, he punched somebody in the face and another motherfucker bit somebody like a damn vampire. And now they're back on television. This shit's about to get wild. But who knows?
Maybe could be fucking crazy.
Happen. And then, maybe that bridge is burnt. Who knows?
Yeah. All right, there's been a lot of Punk talk lately, and people, people from WWE saying, "Oh, well, he's an asshole. I couldn't work with him." People from AEW like, "Oh, he's an asshole. I couldn't work with him." And then there's been others who are like, "Yeah, fuck it, bring him in. Let's work."
That's what Mark Henry said. You gotta make some money. Y'all want to make money, or you don't want to make money? Yeah. What you want to do? Get everybody in the room and fucking tell them to hash it out.
Yeah. Put your big boy pants on.
Yeah, we're trying to grow this fan base here. We're trying to grow this promotion, and it's fucked up what you guys did, but also now we have a golden opportunity. What are we gonna do with it?
Yeah, let's cash these checks, motherfuckers.
I mean, it's the money. You just print the money, right?
Yeah. So next to last, we got Jon Moxley versus Hangman Page in the Texas Death Match. I mean, I feel like this could go either way. Being that it's a Texas death match, I feel like it'll be Moxley. But then what do you do with Hangman Page after this? But also, I mean, personally, I don't know who I'd like to see. I love Hangman Page, but I love Jon Moxley as well. So, I don't know. What do you think?
I would give the edge here to Hangman, but I'm stoked about this match. And I know you said you fast forwarded some. Did you catch Jon Moxley's promo Wednesday night?
Yeah, I did see that.
Bruh, if you just want to if I had one image to describe to somebody who didn't watch wrestling, how would you describe AEW in a picture? I would just take a screenshot of Jon Moxley's bloodied right eye with in the back of a shitty lit staircase and be like, this is AEW. This is why we like it. It's raw. It's punk rock. This motherfucker just bleeding everywhere. The camera's going in and out of focus, like it's not even polished. Like that's what I like. So John Moxley got me hyped up for the promo or for this match. And I mean that's why he's the ace, right? That's why he's the dude of AEW. There's a lot of speculation about, oh, will some of these dudes, like, will Jericho ever go back to AEW? Obviously, FTR, will they go back to WWE? Will Jericho ever go back to WWE? I don't think Moxley's ever going back to WWE.
I don't think so either. And I honestly don't think Jericho will either. He's had a couple things lately that he said in interviews where he pretty much was like, "No, we're going to do whatever we want over here."
I think Jericho will go back though eventually, because I think that Hall of Fame induction means something to him.
Yeah.
And whether, Triple H and the WWE management would ever give him that honor if he's associated with AEW, I think at some point he would kind of want that. I don't think John Moxley's the kind of guy that gives a fuck about a damn Hall of Fame.
No.
I mean, he's bleeding buckets. The camera just panned down away from him as Moxley's talking about something, because it was like shit. And I probably would have too if I was behind the camera, like, damn, his fucking blood is really. And kudos to Warner Brothers for letting them show that. I mean, I thought his right eye was swollen shut.
God damn.
With how much blood he had, you could not see into it. But yeah, that's AEW in a nutshell. So I'm hyped for this match. It's going to be crazy because I would assume that this goes on right before Danielson and MJF. So, conventional wisdom of wrestling says you always put the hardcore, the blood stuff on last because it's hard for people to follow it. Danielson and MJF are going to have to try to follow this, because I would imagine Hangman and John Moxley are going out Sunday night to try to steal this show.
Yeah, they didn't make this one a death match for no reason.
No. There's all the stops will be pulled out between these two guys.
Yeah.
And this is cool. I wish AEW would do this more. Like, Hangman and John Moxley are two of the biggest stars they have. And if you're not going to have these guys feuding over a title, just put them in a program with each other. And I love that their feud is just as simple as, we had a fluke injury happen. You guys shoot hurt. And Hangman can't let that go. And Moxley can't let it go that fucking Hangman thinks he's this badass motherfucker. And so it's two pit bulls fighting over territory. And as wrestling is, it can be simple like that, right? You think you're the dude, I think I'm the dude. Let's fucking fight about it. See who comes out on top.
Yeah, let's get after it.
Yeah.
So last but not least, MJF versus Danielson, 60-minute Iron Man match for the AEW Championship. I know we've said before that they'll leave the strap on him all year. But at what point do you pivot?
So that's the big question. AEW historically has not pivoted away from things. They have a plan in place. It come hell or high water, that's what they're going to do. But there's been all this talk about television rights coming up. Ratings have kind of gone down. I mean, they'll hit 1 million every now and then, but like you look at where it's look at where it's at, from where it was at 2 years ago. And so does that make you nervous? Does it make you want to say, oh, we got to put the strap on Danielson? Now, it ain't going to happen because Danielson got all the shine on the Go Home show. And, if you have been a fan of pro wrestling for any amount of time, whoever gets all the shine before the Go Home show always loses the pay-per-view match. It's just how it goes. I think this is going to be a really great match. I think MJF is going to have a lot to prove to some of his doubters that he can hang with a guy like Danielson. I'm not calling for a double turn or anything like that, but do we see a pivot to MJF being more of a babyface? And it's a simple fix. All you got to do is MJF doesn't cheat in this Iron Man match and ends up beating Danielson in a, out wrestles him basically. And MJF and Danielson just shake hands. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they are committed to MJF being a heel. But I don't know, man. I don't know how much runway is left with MJF being a heel like this. He's essentially been a heel his entire career in AEW.
Yeah.
How much is left? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like we talked about it a couple months ago. I feel like they missed the mark when they didn't turn him face.
They've even missed the mark with this feud. And that was one of the things I was going to bring up. Wednesday night, Danielson comes down. Renee's in the ring, which, why the hell is Renee in the ring if Danielson's just going to talk and MJF's going to come? Whatever. Again, just stupid uses of when we have announcers out there and when we don't. But anyway, the first thing out of Renee's mouth is, back in 2014, MJF had a social media post talking about how he was dropping out of college to pursue his dreams of being a professional wrestler after watching you have a match. Like, how does that make you feel? And I literally, I kid you not, I paused the show and just leaned back on the couch and was like, well, why the fuck were we not talking about this 6 weeks ago? You gonna drop a nugget like that? Like that's all the story you need between these two guys.
Yeah.
Danielson being like, oh, you hate me, but secretly, like, I know, deep down that you're a fan and like I've inspired you. And MJF could even say that back to him, like, you've inspired me.
That's what made the Punk story so compelling.
Yeah. Run it.
That's why you bought a goddamn t-shirt with a 20-year-old picture on it.
Yeah, like, why were we not? And I get that it has a lot of similarities to Punk, so maybe that's why they didn't do it. But bro, you can't drop that nugget 2 days before the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I thought it was strange too. I was like, this is the shit that this storyline needed.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like they amped it up real good last week. I thought last week was a good lead in. But yeah, they totally missed. Like, if they've been sitting on this, why did they throw it in at fucking 8:58 p.m.
Yeah.
on Wednesday night?
Again, I think this is where a writing team would come into place, because literally you could sit down with 4 or 5 people and say, okay, we are doing MJF versus Bryan Danielson. What is the story here, and how do we tell it beat by beat, week after week? That the beat by beat, week after week part is what AEW just does not do, because they don't know how to do it. They struggle with it. And we've talked about it, it's probably because Tony's more of a businessman than he is a creative person. And, this is where the artistry of pro wrestling kind of comes into play. Yada, 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 all this stuff. We say it over and over again on this podcast, but like the old school MJF posts you can't, like you said, you cannot drop that 2 minutes before the show goes off the air leading up to the pay-per-view. That's your story. You don't need any more story than that. I mean, you can have all the MJF stuff that he talked about, which was a good little nuance there, where he talked about, I hate you, Danielson, because you have all the things I want. Like, you have a wife, you have a loving family. I want those things, but yet I'm like possessed by this need to be the best. And you've had all these concussions. Like, why don't you just fucking go home? Like, quit trying to take the one thing that I have that gives me satisfaction. Like, that's a good thing. Also, that's enough of a story right there that you can spread out over 6 weeks. But they dropped that 2 weeks ago, and that was it. I don't know why AEW gets nervous. Like, you can have these guys interact with each other way more than just once or twice before the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I don't think people will get tired of it if you have them interact more. AEW has kind of just, their booking philosophy is, we're going to keep these people completely separate until the pay-per-view comes.
It's weird though, but they do it with people like Hangman and Mox. They're fucking face to face with each other, like forehead to forehead, every other week.
Yeah,
and have been for 2 months. And people eat that shit up. And then you get 14 security guards in there breaking up a brawl, and the brawl lasts for 7-8 minutes. Like,
yeah,
that shit's fun.
Yeah, you can do things where and maybe it doesn't make sense for MJF because he has no friends at this point. But you can even do tag team matches where MJF and Danielson are in a tag team match against each other. Like and you play it up that way. That gives you another week where MJF plays up the chicken shit heel and capitalizes on Danielson and there's all kinds of shit you can do, but they don't have to completely stay separated until the pay-per-view match, I don't think.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the the Vince McMahon part of me coming out, because Vince would do that shit all the time where he would just be like, book it. And Vince would book the same matches. He'd book the match 3 weeks before the pay-per-view. And he'd be like, well, why am I? But, he'd always have it ended to Smoz or DQ or some kind of shit like that. So.
Well, let's touch on some New South stuff for the week. The Haas event comes up this weekend. I was hoping to get to make it over there, but it doesn't look like time is going to be in my favor to make it over to the Shoals this weekend. I will, however, probably finally get the Fight subscription so that I can watch it when it's time for playback.
Well, I don't know if it's on. I don't know if this New South will be on Fight TV.
Oh,
I think
you don't think so?
I think it might be on. I think they're on IWTV too.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I don't know if IWTV maybe has a subscription. It might be free though. I don't know. A lot of cool guys in this Haas tournament though. Warhorse, Myron Reed, Davey Boy Richards is in it, and then of course you got the New South people. Hunter Drake's in it. Kenzie Page is in it. So, it should be good wrestling. I will say the first time Myron Reed is a guy that I only saw a couple weeks ago. And he was in a 6-man tag against Second Gear Crew, and I can't remember the name of the promotion. Maybe it was. Revolver. Wrestling Revolver. That's what it was. And Marvin Reed impressed the shit out of me. He's a dude that probably should be on TV coming up here in the next year and a half or so. He's a dude that I think has a tremendous amount of potential. So yeah, that's a guy to keep your eye on. Obviously, we know about Davey Boy. He's been an indie wrestling sensation for a long time now. So this should be a fun tournament.
I'd kind of wondered why New South hadn't been back in Huntsville lately, and it didn't occur to me because it was mostly weather related, other than the GCW events that they did recently. Because most of the time when they're here in Huntsville, they're at Furniture Factory, and it's an outdoor thing, I believe. So I guess when it gets a little bit warmer, maybe we'll have some action going on over here, which would be exciting. It's just a little tougher for me to get to Florence more often than not these days with work schedules and other things happening. So man, that should be fun. Wish I could get over there for it like I had wanted to, but I don't think it's going to pan out. But it should be a fun weekend with that and AEW Sunday night pay-per-view. We'll have a lot to talk about for sure next week. If y'all don't already, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Alabama Slam Pod. And then you can follow us on Facebook as well. Just look up Alabama Slam Podcast. And be sure to follow the Alabama Take on all the socials. Alabama Take is a network of folks. We've got several podcasts, other friends of ours that do pop culture podcasts, book podcasts, Star Wars podcasts, sports podcast. This song sucks. I think I covered all the bases there. And if you need a t-shirt, Alabama Slam t-shirt, you can go to tpublic.com and just look us up there. They got coffee mugs, stickers, all that shit you can get and sent directly to your front door. But I think that's going to do it for me, unless you got something else we didn't hit on. I think we covered all the bases that we wanted to hit.
No, I think that's it. We're in the throes of WrestleMania season. We got AEW coming up. There's going to be a huge indie wrestling weekend. It's always big, the weekend of WrestleMania. So those, my Fight TV subscription will be. It's worth the $5 a month just to fucking watch everything that, GCW and all these damn promotions are going to have come up in Los Angeles here in the next couple weeks. So, yeah, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
Hell yeah. Well, until then, y'all holler at us on Twitter if you want. If you've got any questions, we'll be glad to try to answer them. And until then, we'll talk to y'all next week.
Later, guys.